Welcome, excuse me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu ha'asok b'divrei Torah.
Amen.
Thank you. And we're going to go ahead and share now and find the place where we left off. So, right here. Remember, Rebecca has just told Jacob, her son, to do something that is kind of doesn't sound such a good thing, right? Okay. Vatikach Rivka et bigdei Esau b'na hagadol hachamudot. And Rebecca took the clothes of her son Esau, her elder son Esau, that were desirable, asher ita babayit, which were with her in the house. Vatalbesh et Yaakov b'na hakatan, and she dressed Jacob, her younger son. By the way, if you can mute, if you're not muted, you may want to do that. I'm hearing quite a bit of feedback, so please check. So, chamudot. So what does that mean, right? I said desirable, precious. Now the word chamad is to covet, right? The coveted clothing. So because the 10th commandment, which says do not covet, right, is al tachmod, same root. So the question is, what does it mean here? And it says hanikiyot. So he says, Rashi starts off by saying that it simply meant the clean clothes, as it is in the Targum, in the Aramaic translation. So in Aramaic, it's translated as dechita, and dechita in Aramaic means clean. Give me a moment because there's a nice. Let me find it. Here we go. This is the verse. Here it is. Dachyata. So at least I can pronounce it correctly now, right? Davar acher, another interpretation. Shechamad otan min Nimrod. He coveted them from King Nimrod, who is mentioned, of course, earlier on. And there are some interesting agadot, some interesting legends about this cloak of Nimrod, that it had special powers, etc. Rashi doesn't go into that here, but I'm just aware of that. That Nimrod's cloak you might look up if you wanted to. Something like that. Asher ita babayit. So what is this, right? Where do you think the clothing was, right? So the fact that the Torah goes out of its way to say Asher ita babayit, that we're with her in the house. And I think Rashi has a delightful comment on this. Halo kama nashim. He says, wait a second. Esau, we already know, had married several wives. Hayulo. He had 2 wives. Who mafkid etzelimo, and he's keeping his clothes. He's having mommy do the washing for him, right? Or he keeps the clothing by his mom. Ella shaya baki b'masayim. But he knew their behavior. He understood it. The chashtan, and he was suspicious of them, of his wives, of his own wives. So, just interesting little comment there. Let's go back. Okay. Here we go. Got to go back here. The 8 orot kedaye ha'izim, and the skins of the 2 goats. Remember, she'd prepared the 2 goats. She had prepared the 2 goats. Remember, we had read about that. So she took the skins of those 2 goats. Excuse me, 1 second. I have to do this. So sorry. Okay. She took the 2 skins, the hilbisha al yadav, and she placed them. She clothed them on his hands, or his arms, I would say, for al chelkat savarov, and the smooth part of his neck. So she put these goat skins around. And of course, you either know already why she did this, or you'll find out in just a moment. Okay, so make sure I not, okay, got a little ways to go now. Vatiten et mat'amim ve'et halechem asher asata, and she gave the savory food, and the bread which she had prepared, beyad Yaakov b'na, into the hands of Jacob, her son. V'yavo el aviv, and he came to his father, vayomer aviv, and he said, Father. Vayomer, and he said, that is Isaac said, Hineni, here I am. Mi atabni, who are you, my son? Interesting, right? So apparently his suspicions are aroused in some way or another. Vayomer Yaakov el aviv, and Jacob said to his father, Anochi, I, Esau bechorecha, am Esau your firstborn. Asiti, interesting, right? Because he had taken that firstborn privilege, had already bought it from Esau for that bowl of pottage. But that raises a question. Was Isaac aware of that? At any rate, Asiti kasher dibarta alai, I have done just as you have spoken to me. Kumna, arise. Shva, sit. Ochla mitzedi, and eat from my game. Ba'avur, so that tavarchani, you will bless me. Nafshecha, well, it simply means you, that you will bless me, or that your soul will bless me, if you want to translate it literally. Here we go. Anochi Esau bechorecha, I am Esau, your firstborn. So the tradition splits up the sentence. First of all, this normally we know that the word I is simply ani. However, it's using a heavy form of this word, anochi. Okay? So, me hamevilacha, okay? I am the one who is bringing it to you. Ve'esav hu bechorecha, and Esau is your firstborn. So it's sort of trying to limit, or maybe say rationalize away the level of falsehood here. So he's saying, I am bringing you food, and Esau is your firstborn. Asiti, well. I performed. Kama dvarim, several things, different things. Kasher dibarta elai, as you spoke to me. And maybe, again, it's trying to minimize the lying going on. In other words, there were many other times that Jacob performed what Isaac wanted of him. But again, context is important. Shava, sit. Lashon mesev ala shulchan. So this word shava has the meaning, the connotation of seated at a table, right? And lachach, and for that reason, metugam, it is translated in Onkelos as tistacher, which means to be seated at a table. That's what tistacher means. And let me make sure again that I pronounce this correctly. Let's see here. Here, istachar. So, Ka'ans, now, istachar. Please be seated at the table and eat from my game, etc. That's the Aramaic. Okay, onwards. Okay. Vayomer Yitzchak el bno. Isaac said to his son, Mazeh, what's this? Miharta, you did this so speedily. Limsobni. What is this that you were able to do this so speedily, my son? Vayomer, and Jacob said, Ki hikra Hashem Elokecha lefanai. So what I believe this means is that the Lord your God, right, brought it before me, or made it easy for me, or helped me, right? He brought the game before me. I found it easily. That's essentially what he's saying. Let's take a look at if there's a Rashi on this. Not yet. Okay. Vayomi Yitzchak el Yaakov, and Jacob, Isaac said to Jacob, Geshana, draw near, come close to me, Va'amushchavni, so that I can feel you, touch you. Ha'ata ze b'ni Esav, are in fact you my son Esau, imlo, or not. So you can see that his suspicions are aroused quite significantly. And of course, what's going to come is a very, eventually, not next sentence, but is going to be a very resounding phrase, a phrase that resounds and sort of defines the role of the Jewish people in a little bit. So, Geshana va'amush, let me make sure, va'amushcha, right? Draw near so that I can feel you. Amar Yitzchak belibo, Isaac said to himself, Ein derech Esav, it's not normal for Esau liyot shem shamayim shagur befiv, that he should mention God's name, that he should be speaking about God. V'zeh amar, and this person said, Kit Hikra Hashem Elokecha, and this person said, the Lord your God, right? Brought the game to me, essentially, right? Or made it happen. It's not the way Esau normally talks. Here it comes. Vayigash Yaakov el Yitzchak, and so Jacob went over to Isaac, Aviv, his father, Vaymushehu, and he felt him. Isaac felt him. Vayomer, and this is the famous phrase. He said, Isaac said, Hakol kol Yaakov. The voice is the voice of Jacob. Vahayadayim, but the hands, Yedei Esav, are the hands of Esau. And of course, we're going to interpret that in a moment. And as I said, it's a profound statement that is the way it's interpreted, right? Kol Yaakov, the voice is the voice of Jacob. Shemidaber velashon tachanunim. He speaks in a language of supplication. Kumna, arise, please. Aval Esav, but Esau, velashon, he uses a language, kantoria. It means sort of criticism, something like that. Lekanter is to criticize, to be harsh. Diber Yakumavi, he said, let my father get up. So, Kumna and Yakumavi, different way of expressing yourself. So it doesn't say this interpretation that I was referring to back then. Rashi doesn't talk about it. But the rabbis have interpreted kol as being the voice of prayer, and yadayim being the hands of warfare. In other words, the idea that the Jewish people rely on their prayer to accomplish what they need to accomplish, whereas Esau has to do everything. And if it takes, this was a reason. Sorry, I'm breaking this mid-sentence, but that if the idea of not being hunters, the idea of not believing in the force and the effectiveness of the force of arms, and of course, we certainly do read in the Bible about Saul and David and Joshua and the various judges who had to mount armies to defend themselves. So it's not quietistic. But I think what we are being told is that simply relying on the force of arms or on our own reliance alone is not the way to go. And that along with that should be our prayers, not only for success, but that we do that in a way that is pleasing in God's eyes. And that's the statement. The voice is the voice of Jacob. In other words, Jacob's strength comes from his prayer and study and Esau's strength comes from his use of arms. Going on. Velo hikiro. He did not, that is Isaac. He didn't recognize him. Ki hayu yadav kidei Esav, because his arms were like the arms of Esau, Achiv, his brother, Seirot, hairy, Varachehu, and he blessed him. Isaac blessed him. There's a lot of, as I've said before, as we've been doing this material, that there's a lot of ambiguity here, because you could say, well, if Isaac was he certain? Or was he saying to himself, well, really, does Jacob deserve the blessing more? We'll see. It's not, it's hard sometimes to tell. So let's make sure we are where we need to be. And this, in fact, is where we need to be. So give me a moment, and I'm going to put our little arrow here. Right there. Excuse me. And I'm going to stop the share. And any thoughts, Golda?
It's pretty straightforward. I mean, I'm sure there's nuances that the rabbis have found in it, but it just explains a little bit more about the characters of these people.
Right. Well, of
Yeah.
course, yeah. And
that did he really want the subterfuge? Was he complicit in the subterfuge?
that is the big question, right?
Right.
Right. So, okay, and I'll leave it as a question. Take care. Hold on a second. I'm going to stop the recording.